So to understand economics, to understand the name of the game, you need to understand some players and you need to understand some theories. So this is carrying on with the Kentucky economics. Just talking about anything and everything Kentucky economics related. So the Milton Friedman, okay, and the Chicago boys, they were the big ones who went to Chile and they revamped all the Chile and they made them into like this hard banger, right? This model for all of South America. Just do what Chile does and then eventually you'll have a fucking economy. It took Pinochet 30 years of a military dictatorship, lots of dead bodies, lots of dead people. Nixon wanted to make the economy scream, and he made the motherfucker scream. You had Salvador Allende, who was elected in 1973, and then the United States, through a CIA, had a coup d'etat. They had a coup d'etat. They overthrew the government because they democratically elected a socialist leader. And the war against communism was just too fucking vital, right, to allow some socialist person to be elected. How dare they, right? So, what we can learn about the Chicago boys is this is the exact opposite, but it's what I see in America. This is what Mitch McConnell, this is what the Republicans want. They want the American people to be cheap labor, cheap dirt fucking labor, so that way you can, if you're the owner of a company, if some people give you a fucking issue, you fire them and you got 20 people around the block ready to fucking, kiss your ass to get a job. And if you have lots of cheap labor to choose from, then supposedly that's going to make more business come in and then everybody's going to be happier. It's absolute horseshit. It's absolute bullshit. You only got, a union mentality and a fucking corporate mentality, and neither one of these mentalities are even being employed in any workplaces because there's no communication. Just a bunch of dog-eat-dog individualists, right? So, excuse me. I want to talk about Naomi Klein's, Milton Friedman did not save Chile. This article here by The Guardian, because Naomi Klein has been kicking ass. That's what they're doing in America. They're trying to do a shock doctrine. They're trying to shock America to accept these really harsh, draconian economics, squeezing. And Nixon says he's going to make the Chilean economy scream. He also made the mothers and the babies scream too. They murdered, Pinochet was a fucking fanatical dictator. And now Naomi Klein is going to compare the earthquake in Haiti versus the earthquake in Chile. And they're going to sit there and say because of Milton Friedman's policies, the Chileans had brick houses, whereas the Haitians had houses made of hay. I've never seen one fucking Haitian house made of hay. They're made of brick and mortar and concrete. So, the fact that he's even saying that, it's kind of fucking racist. Maybe it was sticks or something. Maybe it was like, cheap wood materials. But to say straw, it's just fucking racist. Anyways, she's going to comment about that comment. Even Noam Chomsky said something about it too, making the comparison between the Chilean earthquake and the Haitian. The Haitian earthquake killed 500,000 Haitians. Chile's just killed a handful of people. Why? And the reason why is because the government had installed regulations, for that building in 72 under Salvador Allende. So it was because of Allende. That's the reason why Chile was saved. And that's actually what the whole article is going to say. But I'm going to go down through the whole thing because this is what the Republicans want to do. They want to make our economy scream. They want to make this a great fucking place for the big corporate paymasters and the big corporate paymasters. They want it all for themselves and nothing else for anybody. They want to be able to, I want to put my factory right here. I want to use all these resources and use these people and make a ton of fucking money and fuck everybody else. We don't want to pay these people a real shitty wage. I want to take all the resources. I want to pollute everywhere. And I don't want to pay for any of this shit. I don't want to give back to the community. I just want to take all this stuff, make some shit out of it, and then make a ton of money and say, fuck all y'all. Oh, I did that all myself. Y'all didn't do none of that. I did all that shit by myself. And it's absolute bullshit. If you ever worked a job, the fucking bosses are fucking stupid. You can do their job easily. And you could do your own job better if they weren't even fucking there. You know in your heart it's true. So this article here says, ever since deregulation caused a worldwide economic meltdown in September '08, everyone became a Keynesian again, right? You have Keynesian economics, and then you got laissez-faire. What's the other guy? I guess Adam Smith, maybe. It hasn't been easy to be a fanatical follower of the late economist Milton Friedman, so widely discredited is his brand of free market fundamentalism that his admirers have become increasingly desperate to claim ideological victories, however far-fetched. A particularly distasteful case in point, just 2 days after Chile was struck by a devastating earthquake, Wall Street Journal columnist Bret Stephens informed his readers that Milton Friedman's spirit was surely hovering protectively over Chile because, thanks to him, the country endured a tragedy that elsewhere would have been apocalypse. It's not by chance that Chileans were living in houses of brick and Haitians in houses of straw when the wolf arrived and tried to blow them down. Right? And they're not living in houses of straw. It's not houses of bricks. It was the medical systems. It was the infrastructure that was already there. Whereas the Haitians went ahead and got gutted. They had, several coups d'etats. They had an earthquake. So they went ahead and did the shock therapy, the shock doctrine. And that's what Naomi Klein is actually really famous for, the shock doctrine. We're going to shock the shit out of Chile. We're going to force this fucking capitalism on them. They elected a socialist. Fuck Chile. They will be, and then conservative, is our policies, right? Conservatives, you want things to stay the same. Liberals, you want things to change. But our policies outside of America is called neoliberal. Neoliberalism. I guess like capitalist democracy. You got, some elections and shit, but basically the fucking corporations do as the fuck as they please. So that's what we have. That's the type of economy that we have. So shock doctrine is what they're going to try to do to America. They're going to try to do to Kentuckians, right? These goddamn fucking economists think they fucking know it all. They don't know it all. And actually, economy can be understood by anybody. So frankly, if somebody's like, well, it's the economy, you don't know anything. No, tell me what the fuck you're talking about because I'm able to follow along with what the fuck you're saying. So the economy is good when people have money and people are doing well. That's when the economy is doing good. And that's when everybody's doing good. When the middle class has plenty of money, there's plenty of exchange money being passed around and shit. That puts more money in the rich people's pocket. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Is Republicans says that the rich people can make whatever the fuck they want to make with no laws. No regulation, have the government sell out all their assets. But even Milton Friedman says you got to at least have a court system. So that way you can be an arbitrator for, in between disputes between corporations. But in general, you deregulate, you have trade, financial, banking, they can do whatever the fuck they want, all speculation, no regulation, do whatever the hell they want, you privatize everything, you sell all the government assets. So if you're a Corinth in Grant County, you sell your fiber optics, internet. If you're Boone County, you sell your golf courses, right? Those are assets those county governments own. They own a golf course. What the fuck does Boone County need to own a golf course for, right? You're gonna, people I bet in Boone County would bitch about Somerset owning a gas station, or they'd bitch about Corinth owning fiber optics internet, but they own a goddamn fucking golf course, right? So that way the rich elite can come over there and fucking, go shoot some golf and you can make some business deals and shit. That's what the fuck it's there for. So golf courses, if you're a Milton Friedman, kind of guy, you would sell all those assets off. You would sell your gas stations. You would sell your, healthcare. You would sell your schools, your hospitals, your roads. Anything and everything that you got, you sell off all the assets. You keep some of the courts. You keep some of the basic infrastructure. I guess you keep the roads, right? They're already built and stuff. But the water becomes privatized. The education, the gas, the cable, the healthcare, sewage, all this becomes privately owned, and it becomes let the market decide, right? Let them figure out the, between demand and supply and figure out what it is. And that's all economics is, supply and demand. That's basic economics 101. Supply and demand tells us that when you make, marijuana or prostitution illegal, then the prices is going to go up. That creates an economic incentive. It doesn't stop the shit. If anything, it actually creates, a greater incentive for people to get into that market. There's risk and reward with anything. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. That's all the fucking, so if you're an economist, what the fuck y'all doing? Goddamn Republicans, you lying motherfuckers. Mitch is going to be, all about capitalism and shit, and he's all for the war on drugs. Yet go onto his ship and he's got cocaine in his fucking attic and shit. So he's a cocaine, fucking smuggler. Probably been smuggling this shit for 36 fucking years. Poor ass fucking Kentucky gonna vote for the richest motherfucker out there. Yeah, good call, Kentucky. I bet those rich motherfuckers are really gonna give a shit about us and the working class peoples and making sure there's all jobs. Oh yeah, wait a second. No, they're not going to. The Republicans flat out told the Koch brothers, no, we're going to fucking sell Kentucky off to the highest bidder. And there's going to be lots of poor, cheap labor. We got Appalachia, 30% unemployment rate in Appalachia. That's good for corporations. That's great for corporations. War, destruction, earthquakes. That's great. You got to rebuild. Someone's got to make some more shit. Great for corporations. Great for the economy. To have death, destruction, mayhem, chaos. Fuck you. That's why pure economics can't control anything. That's why you need some fucking politics, so that way, it fucking muffles what it is. What economics cannot fucking... If capitalism can cure poverty or cure fucking pollution, why hasn't it done it so far? It's actually... Capitalism needs poverty, so they have that fucking poor class. And then pollution, well, that's just the name of the game, right? You pollute a little bit. If they get busted, you pay a little fine. Hey, it's a fun little fucking game here. Number one state for pollution, Kentucky is. So, okay, so we go down here and they says that Milton Friedman's spirit was protecting Chile because of making the economy scream. All right. They said that the reason why Chile is a prosperous nation because it had some of the world's strictest building codes. Well, building codes is regulation. And the Chile's modern seismic building code drafted to resist earthquakes was adopted in 1972. 1 year before Salvador Allende was fucking coup d'etat. Salvador Allende's the one that give us a modern day regulated building code to where Chile was fucking prepared in 72. This happened maybe, 5, 6, 7 years ago or so. So the law was enacted even in the midst of the crippling economic embargo. Paul Krugman points out Friedman was ambivalent about building codes, seeing them as yet another infringement on capitalist freedom. He was ambivalent. Building codes, I don't know. Fuck, I can't. Nah, fuck it. Let them build the houses however goddamn they want to build the houses. As for the argument that Friedman-Knight policies are the reasons Chileans live in houses of brick instead of straw, it's clear that Stevens knows nothing of pre-coup Chile. So the Chile of the 1960s had the best health and education systems on the continent. So Chile was kicking ass. So you really have to make a good-ass argument to say that all that death and destruction really fucking helped Chile. I've seen protests out in Chile more than any of the other fucking countries. Protesting education, protesting in poor conditions. They was out there in the streets, So I don't know. Maybe they are more. I don't know. I mean, it could go one way or the other, right? Either they're better off or they ain't better off. The dead certainly aren't better off. So you really got to make a great case for the living that the living did better. After the coup and the death of Allende, Pinochet and the Chicago boys did their best to dismantle Chile's public sphere, auctioning off state enterprises and slashing financial and trade regulations. Enormous wealth was created in this period, but at a terrible cost. By the early 80s, Pinochet's Friedman prescribed policies had caused rapid deindustrialization, a tenfold increase in unemployment, and an explosion of distinctly unstable shantytowns. They also led to a crisis of corruption, debt so severe that in 1982, Pinochet was forced to fire his key Chicago boy advisor and nationalize several of the large deregulated financial institutions. Let the banks do what the fuck they want. The banks, they get the rich and the banks. Let them do whatever they want. If they do whatever they want, then the poor they'll just have, the rich will eat so much food, the crumbs will just come off their mouth and the poor can just pick up after them crumbs and they'll be okay too. You make the rich super fucking rich and then all the food just comes off their face and then all that, the people just be fighting for the crumbs coming off their faces. That's trickle-down economics, Reaganomics 101. National Copper Company, Codelco, remained in state hands, pumping wealth into public coffers, preventing the Chicago boys from tanking Chile's economy completely. They never got around to trashing Allende's tough building code and ideological oversight, for which we should all be grateful. So who saved Chile? Allende, the socialist, did. Not the fucking capitalist did. So this is to understand the Chicago boys is understand what we're up against. So the Republicans and the Koch brothers and the bankers, they want to fucking rape the shit out of Kentucky. They want to take all Kentucky's natural gas. They want to take all the coal, all the land, and use, people as human capital. You ever heard of that term? Fucking human capital. Meaning that you're just a slave, and how can you be, best utilized by the fucking corporate machine? And so, we're all being auctioned off. This is shock therapy for all of us. They're gonna, this is the end goal. Sell off the state's assets, sell America's assets, sell off the state's assets, privatize everything, cable, roads, water, definitely fucking, golf courses, fiber optics, water, sewage, roads, education, gas, cable, trading, financial, banking, speculation. So, they want deregulation, privatization, sell all the state's assets. And he believed in monetarism, okay? So you really got to look more into Milton Friedman. I just got a basic understanding. I'm got fucking sick of this bastard. But he believed in an alternative macroeconomic policy known as monetarism. He theorized there existed a natural rate of unemployment. Hey, we can have some people can be unemployed. The unemployment rate doesn't even get everybody that's unemployed. Hell, it probably is twice as much as the actual unemployment rate. He once stated that his role in eliminating U.S. conscription is his proudest accomplishment, whatever. 62-book Capitalism and Freedom. Friedman advocated policies such as volunteer military. That's a good idea. Free floating exchange rates. Not for sure about that. Abolition of medical licenses. That sounds like a bad idea. A negative income tax. Negative income tax. I don't know about that. School vouchers. His ideas concerning monetary policy, taxation, privatization, deregulation influenced government policies, especially during the 1980s. His monetary theory influenced the Federal Reserve's response to the global financial crisis, 2007-2008. In the field of statistics, Friedman developed a sequential sampling method of analysis. So they actually said that Milton Friedman's, they used his shit. The Federal Reserve's response was to use his fucking, advice. But really, I mean, that's Keynesian. Keynesian says you can, the government can input money into the economy, and then that'll get the economy going. And it won't fix the economy, but it could stimulate the economy, which was the fucking point. The stimulus. We're back on the road to recovery, except for, the wage earners, the wage slaves. They don't have nothing going on. Milton Friedman's works include many monographs, books, scholarly articles, papers, magazine columns, television programs, videos. All right, so that's a little bit about him. So you got to, abolition of medical licenses. I don't know. We don't have to have a stand in military. Free floating exchange rates. You got to check out what that is. Is that just the exchange rates between currencies? Free floating, whatever anybody says, this is how much you get. You just be like, all right. A negative income tax? Negative income tax. So I don't even know what that means. An income tax is just, you make money and then the government takes that money. So negative income tax is you make money and the government gives you money. It's not really even a tax, is it? That's a wage. That's like what they're doing in Switzerland. And school vouchers. So he's against the public education system. He thinks that we should have our own choices when it comes to the schools. And actually, that's a fucking great idea. The schools are fucked. They don't give a shit about educating your child. They only care about their money and their power. They don't give a fuck about anybody. It's a big-ass fucking money game. It's only about capitulation, compliance, making your kids shut up, sit down, do the shit that they fucking tell your kid to do, but not making them strong, not making them wise, not encourage them to be the best that they can be. So I think maybe that'll conclude right now. That's a little bit of, the Keynesians, right? Cheers for the Chicago boys. There are two South Americas, said Chilean economist Rolf Sanders, a former prime minister under Augusto Pinochet. The old South America, which remains mired in populism and Marxist rhetoric, includes Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Venezuela. The new South America is democratic and free market oriented. And so this is neoliberalism. This is the Washington Consensus. So the free market oriented included Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay. Uruguay is the one that legalized marijuana. Costa Rica, Colombia, Chile, Paraguay, Peru, Brazil. I don't know. I like what Bolivia is doing. I guess we can see who's got the higher GDP, right? But that's how old people, maybe the happiness index. That should play into account whether or not we actually like what we're seeing. Are you fucking happy? Yeah, you have all the money and everybody else is dying around you. You happy? Miserable. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Well, that's not a good economic system. If you have all the stuff and you're still fucking sad. Maybe care about others. Maybe that'll help. Fucking psychopaths. So, Chile is undoubtedly the most prosperous and stable country in the group, with an annual real growth rate averaging 5.5% over the last 15 years. Pinochet had no clue about economics, and our country was in a desperate situation. But when Pinochet asked Friedman, who helped mold Chicago's economics department, to provide solutions for hyperinflation, the great economist proposed just the right cure: monetary control, monetarism. So I guess that's the idea. He was against the Federal Reserve, but Milton Friedman was against the Federal Reserve, but he believed in a slow, I guess, letting out of, just a small expansion of the money supply. So you keep the money supply basically the same and just slightly produce more and more and more. But who the fuck is producing this, and at what rate, and why the fuck are we doing it at this rate? And it's whatever America says. It's pretty faulty fucking foundations you're standing on there. Now that China and Russia are fucking best friends and shit, and not trading with the dollar, America, you are fucking slipping hardcore. I don't know. We're spending all this money for the empire. Our fucking domestic places. I mean, it's stable, but it's going to get worse and worse. I mean, globalization, the fucking robotics, the mechanization of the workplace, and the uneducated workforce. This is just going to get worse and worse and worse for everybody. We need to fucking, pull our heads out of our asses. Like, seriously, what the fuck? Harshly criticizing the U.S. for his collaboration with the dictator, Friedman responded by asking whether he should have let the patient, the Chilean economy, die instead. Looters admit that he and fellow academics relished a chance to devise a new economic model on the blackboard and observe the results. At first, his results weren't much to brag about. In the early 1980s, external shocks, capital flight, declining prices for copper, the main Chilean export at the time, and excessive trust in the market's self-correcting mechanisms caused many glitches in a severe recession. So, right. Beginning in 1985, the more pragmatic Hernan Bucci, who served as finance minister under Pinochet, helped correct the errors through tighter control of capital flows into and out of the country. Tighter control of capital flows. So what are the rich people buying? What aren't they? But that's a central economy. Like, I don't understand what these motherfuckers keep on. It acts like, hey, let the rich do whatever they want to do, but then they want to control, what? Capital flows, whether or not you can invest in buildings and land overseas, or if you can allow foreign investment. I thought that shit's a good thing. Though he holds a degree from Harvard, Bucci is still the Chicago boy in a land where that city's name has become a generic term for free market economist. The economic solution we provided for Chile had nothing extraordinary about them. We privatized the companies, which had been nationalized by the socialist Allende regime. We stabilized the currency. We opened the borders to trade. The strong Chilean tradition of entrepreneurship took over from there. So, great success. Great success. The Chicago boys didn't just reform Chile's economy. They also tackled the country's bloated state sector. Our real breakthrough was in the social services. In most countries, governments directly provide social services such as schools, hospitals, housing. Chicago boys have tried to shift Chile away from this model. While ensuring that citizens aren't left behind, the Chilean state no longer builds housing for the poor, for instance, but it still offers financial aid and mortgage guarantees to truly needy citizens who aspire to become private owners in the real estate market. Along the same lines, the school voucher system that Friedman initially devised, allowing parents to choose any private or public school for their children, is in place. Though it's imperfect, the vouchers cover only 1/5 of a private school tuition, so the poorest students remain stuck in the public schools, and the teachers' union, opposed to parental choice, refuses to provide information on school achievement, leaving parents in the dark when trying to choose the best schools. So, the Chicago boys' proudest achievement in Chile's privatized pension system, its main architect was Jose Pinera. Go on and on and on. So, that's just giving you an idea of monetarism. We can take a look at what monetarism, right? This is what his thing is, and we can check out what negative income tax is, right? It even has it, and a freely floating exchange rate. We can look at all this. So, monetarism is his macroeconomic policy. The macroeconomics is the economics of the society. Microeconomics is your own personal economy. So we have monetarism. We're checking out a negative income tax, and then we're going to check out a floating exchange rate. And then I'm going to call it, I'm just going to cap this video off. I got plenty more. I want to talk about the good things that Denmark is doing. I want to talk about, all these countries that have real strong economic systems and what it is that we can do as Kentuckians. We can take the best of Denmark, and crap the worst. No, we don't want the bad. We want the good. Take the good from all these countries and then just get all the good here and then be the richest people in the world. Doesn't seem like a bad idea to me. Switzerland is so rich they could just pay everybody $10,000 just for the fuck of it. $10,000, it guarantees that you'll be able to live life. $10,000 also helps middle class people buy that extra, you know, whatever car or whatever the fuck they want to buy. $10,000 guaranteed income. And the idea is that, you know, the America is going to be mechanized. What are these people going to do once you start getting all these robots and machines to take over the fucking jobs? These people can't, you know, they've been fucking machines their whole life. They don't have no brains. They're fucking dumb and stupid. And they're mean and shitty. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Darwin's going to fucking help Kentucky out on that. I guess that's what Rand Paul is banking on. He's going to fucking cut all the social spending, no, you know, no food stamps, no welfare, no social security, no Medicare, no education, no health care for all the Kentuckians, and they're going to survive or they're going to die, and then only the strongest will survive. So Rand Paul is really, you know, he's doing a hell of an experiment on this fucking state. The Republicans don't seem to give a fuck about it. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's experiment. Let's experiment with Kentucky. Let's see if Kentucky, you know, let's see if they'll sink or swim. Maybe half of them will die, you know. They'll starve to death because they ain't got no food. Negative income tax is a progressive income tax system where people earning below a certain amount receive supplemental pay from the government instead of paying taxes to the government. Huh. So that's a progressive system. That's a good fucking system, right? Never fully implemented. In the negative income tax system, people earning a certain income level would owe no taxes. Those earning more than that would pay a proportion of their income above that level. And those below that level would receive a payment of the proportion of the shortfall, which is the amount of their income falls below that level. I don't know exactly what all that means, but basically it sounds like the Switzerland thing, right? Everybody gets guaranteed money. If you're making money, you're all right. You're going to get taxed. But if you ain't making no money, you'll get a check. That's a good thing. I'm not against that. So Milton Friedman, considering he's like the anarchist on the right, you know, he's actually not an anarchist. So people that's like, the damn government want the taxes and the government, shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Even your own fucking conservative free market economist, you know, are sitting there saying we need court systems. They're saying we need this fucking, inverted, what do you call that? An inverted income system, a negative income tax. So they're even talking about negative income tax, cutting checks for free, right? So y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, quit sitting there repeating whatever the fuck politicians are saying. The politicians are stirring shit up. I remember with the Iraq War, they all stirred the shit up, but they didn't do nothing about it. They just said, hey, the war and blah, blah, blah. What about it, you stupid motherfucker? You just talking about it? You ain't gonna stop it? We still an empire. We still fucking financing every fucking, you know, goddamn project all over the fucking place. We still got our, you know, our hands halfway in some businesses, not in other people's businesses. We let fucking crimes happen. We don't say, what are we doing? You know, we are the police of the world, but we suck at it. So let's just save some fucking money. Let's do what we're good at. Let's protect ourselves. Let's use that money to invest in ourselves. Let's work on peace, diplomacy, and talking to the world as equals. We're an empire. You know, nobody's going to forget about that. But we also should set the example for the rest of the world. Instead of being like, we're number one, love it or leave it. No, shut the fuck up, you dumb motherfucker. Every civilization and empires have fucking come and gone. We've only been here for 200 fucking years. And it's been a crazy, bloody, tumultuous fucking 200 years. You have no idea about American history? Have you looked open to the books? Have you checked out what's going on? A floating exchange rate or fluctuating exchange rate is a type of exchange rate regime in which a currency's value is allowed to fluctuate in response to market mechanisms of the foreign exchange market. A currency that uses a floating exchange rate is known as a floating currency. A floating currency is contrasted with a fixed currency. So, okay. So in the modern world, most of the world's currencies are floating. Such currencies include the most widely traded currencies: the United States dollar, the euro, the Norwegian krone, the Japanese yen, the British pound, and the Australian dollar. The Swiss franc was formerly traded via a floating exchange rate, but as of September 2011, it has its floor pegged to the euro. So the euro, it's all about the euro. Even the Swiss franc attach themselves to the euro. Central banks often participate in the markets to attempt to influence the value of floating exchange rates. The Canadian dollar most closely resembles a pure floating currency. because the Canadian Central Bank has not interfered with its price since it's officially stopped doing so in 1998. So the Canadian dollar is pretty fucking sound currency, right? Fixed currency, but floating rate. He says, oh, just have it on a floating rate, right? Do whatever the fuck we want. The Bretton Woods system made fixed currencies the norm. In 1971, the U.S. decided no longer to uphold the dollar exchange at 1/35th of an ounce of gold, so the currency was no longer fixed. You couldn't get no gold, right? Nixon took us off the gold standard, so the piece of paper is just worth what you think it's worth. After it's fiat currency. After the 1973 Smithsonian Agreement, most of the world's currencies followed suit. However, some countries, such as most of the Gulf states, fixed their currency to the value of another currency, which has been more recently associated with slower rates of growth. When a currency floats, targets other than the exchange rate itself are used to administer monetary policy. Okay, so just allow people to, exchange currencies free, free willing. Fixed currencies, he's against it. He wants a floating exchange rate. And then there's monetarism, which we can get into more about what they're talking about. But I've looked too much in this motherfucker. They said the Chicago boy's proudest achievement is Chile's privatized pension system. Its main architect was Jose Pinera, now a scholar at the Cato Institute. Before the Pinochet regime, Pinera recalls only workers in government industries, public services, and the military had pensions. Pinochet, like Otto von Bismarck before him, decided that all citizens should have pensions, like Social Security, an old age fucking pension, like FDR wanted to do. Y'all want a fucking welfare or taxes. Fuck you, old motherfuckers. I hope you get your Social Security taken away. You're sitting there taking all that Social Security money away from us. The baby boomers are Generation Y, and the baby boomers are going to take all the fucking thing. There's going to be nothing left for us. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all done raped the shit out of our generation, Fuck you, motherfuckers. Sit there and bitch about fucking welfare and shit, and you taking the biggest welfare check out of the fucking government. There ain't a bigger... There's two big-ass cash cows. There's big-ass two sacred cows. And, U.S. government. One's military and the other one's Social Security. Those two big-ass motherfuckers take all the fucking money. Social Security and fucking military. Get the fuck out of here, you assholes. The state deducts a compulsory 10% from each worker's wages, or as much as 20% if the worker requests it, which he can invest in either the public or the private system. Nearly everyone picks the private pensions, which are managed by 6 private investment companies, each offering a mix of safer and riskier investments. The Chilean state also regulates these companies and their investments. So far, on the average, the private system has provided the pensions that pay an equivalent of 70% of citizens' previous annual salaries. Chile was a pioneer in pension privatization, and many countries have followed its lead in one form or another. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Fuck Pinochet. Fuck Milton Friedman. I believe we can do capitalism and socialism together. Have a competition, but past the point where everybody deserves the right to live. We're the richest country in the world. We got people starving on our street. That's unacceptable. So once people are guaranteed, you should have a guaranteed income. Once people have a guaranteed income, once people have land reform, once people have, a guaranteed life, then anything above that is on them. But to sit there and be like, well, you dumb homeless motherfucker, you didn't get a job, you didn't save, I'm so much better than you. No, you didn't. You had a lot more opportunities that homeless person did not fucking have. And once you're homeless, my God, that's it, right? You're not even a fucking person no more. You have to sleep outside begging for change and shit. Just get whatever little bit of food you can get. That's fucking horrible. Welcome to America. Welcome to Kentucky. Yeah, you can, turn any situation and make it positive. I love my poverty. I love my chains. I think we need to be serious about what it is we're actually faced with. Capitalism does not give a shit about poor people. It does not give a shit about homelessness. Does not give a shit about pollution. Does not give a shit about a lot of fucking things. So pure capitalism, casino-style capitalism, 2008, it blew the fucking world up. And like Naomi Klein says, it made everybody a Keynesian again. Because Keynesian had more sound economic theory than, say, a radical like Milton Friedman. But Milton Friedman, he's got, I think Milton Friedman is the intellectual economist of Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand's the spirit and the heart and soul, and Milton Friedman's the intellectual that put her sort of, gusto into practice. And I'm not against, as an American, you're a capitalist by default. I'm not against capitalism. I just think that we can do both of them better. There's only two fucking economic, capitalism and socialism, and we can't even talk about one of them. One of them is a cuss word in this fucking society, brought on by Mitch McConnell. Well, that's socialism. That's what that is. That's socialism. Yeah, okay, Mitch, you stupid ass piece of shit. You having a Mitch McConnell Center. You having motherfucking, shit with Mitch on your goddamn name. That's fucking socialism. Stupid motherfuckers in government, uses government money for shit, builds shit, says this shit, and then he takes the money, give it to the banks. It's socialism for the rich, but not socialism for the poor. Fuck you. We need to have a more honest conversation. There's people out here, nobody wants to hand out from the government, but there's people out here that need fucking help and need assistance. There's fucking people on Social Security, and they need to be able to continue to live. Unemployment, there's poor people, there's, you need to have a social safety net in case people fucking fall out. There's a job, there's a fire, there's an accident. You never know what the fuck crisis could come up. Electric prices are supposed to be fucking cheaper. $400 every goddamn month, $400 fucking dollars. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, living in a coal state's really doing me good. Nah, it's because it's the goddamn Milton Friedmans. They want to fucking, push the coal rate as much. It's a Pennsylvania fucking CEO. Eon.us, it's a German fucking parent company. They just want to fucking raise, the coal rates to be as high as they want it to go. They want the coal. They want to maximize profits, just like with the gasoline, with the fuel, with the petroleum. Maximize profits. That's all they want to fucking do. It's what corporations want to do. That's all they give a fuck about doing. France acts like they're fucking better and everybody and shit, right? Oh, yeah, Jesus fucking Charlie. It was a horrible fucking crime. But everybody fucking freaking out about this shit. It's because they're, solidarity for Islamic terrorism. And, France has been attacking. They got military bases all over Africa. They're a mini empire. France is a little, and then when they had Haiti and had all them slaves and eventually the Haitian people got their freedom, France says that they would only recognize Haiti if they paid reparations. And so they paid reparations for 150 fucking years. So, I saw the Duvier family. So the Duvier, they took a lot of money. Anyways, that's a little bit about Milton Friedman and the Chicago Boys.